Howdy, hello, and welcome to the 17th episode of the Preferred Podcast. I'm your host, director, producer, writer, composer, editor, actor, PA, CEO, janitor, manager, president, vice president, HR, employee of the month, secretary, set designer, and security, Sasha Preferred.
And I'm the Heart of Alabama and the co-host of this prestigious podcast, Amber Valentine. The
Preferred We're feeling 17 again.
But unfortunately, it's at an end.
So let's start the day with our final topic of Slay.
Slay.
Don't cry, but unfortunately the end is nigh. So today's topic of Slay is the ending of it all.
Oh, Slay.
So the end of eras, the end of times, the end of situations. That is the topic of the day. So the end of eras, when I think of the end of eras, I mean, I just think of like constant life changes. It happens, you know? If your life's not changing, what are you doing in your life? So if you don't have the end of an era, are you really making the best of your life? Are you really bettering yourself?
Exactly.
Are you starting with the man in the... I'm starting with...
That was literally my song for my presentation.
Anyways. But I mean, a lot of people associate the end of things with negative connotation, and I don't feel like that's always true. First off, the end of things can be very, very, very good, especially if you look at it from a faulty eye. You know, the end of a relationship can be a good thing. The end of a contract can be a good thing. The end of a job could be a good thing. But would you say you have fear of the end of anything?
Not really. I mean, it's gonna happen.
Not even the end of the world?
No.
I would definitely say...
I mean, we're all gonna die eventually.
Yeah, I'm not really scared of death. That doesn't really get me at all. But what really does get me is the fear of not knowing, you know, because you have... I don't know, it might be just religious trauma of like revelations and the rapture and stuff like that from a person in my family. But that's always kind of been stuck deep in my head. And that's always like a fear of mine, although I don't really identify in the Christian beliefs or religion. However, I feel like that's a huge fear amongst like general public. I feel like a lot of people fear the end of the world. And I don't know, do you ever see the possibility of like, I don't know, I can never see a zombie apocalypse happening.
I don't know. I feel like it could be something that could potentially happen.
I could see like mad cow disease like developing into something like that, but in the sense of like horror movie zombies, no.
Oh no, not those zombies.
And I definitely see
it'd be like bath salt zombies again.
Yeah, like I definitely see like war. Mm-hmm. That being like a notion of you know, hey.
Mm-hmm. Oh, plenty of war.
Some things are going down. You know what I mean? I don't know, but as a whole, like the end of the world. I mean, the way I've seen it, it sounds horrible, but if it's a bomb, girl, we ain't gonna realize it until it's happened. And if it happens, we're dead in 2 seconds. If it's the sense of revelations and the rapture, then why are you worried? If you believe in that, you should be good. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Besides like that,
if not, then we're just gonna continue being drag queens down here.
Yeah. Besides that, I really don't have a fear of like the end of the world or even death as a whole. Like a lot of people are scared of death, and I don't.
I'm not.
It's gonna happen. Mm-hmm. I mean, of course, like I don't want to suffer, like long and painful death. That would not be.
I would say if I fear anything about death, it's more so how I'm going to die, because like I don't want it to be like horrible.
Yeah, and I mean it's gonna happen.
Yeah,
you're gonna die. Mm-hmm. You're gonna die, Tracy,
and nobody knows when it's gonna happen.
Yeah,
not even you.
So I don't know, but you mentioned the doing drag. Do you fear the end of your drag?
Yeah, I feel like eventually there may be an end. I'm hoping not, and I will try to make sure that there's not as best as possible, but at the same time, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's really such a 50-50 kind of fence situation.
I mean, especially with, you know, the state that we're living in currently, it doesn't really help either. I don't know. I don't really ever fear... I have a lot of fears with drag. Like, I always have a fear of looking a fool, you know what I mean? Or a fear... doing something wrong or making a mistake in drag, but that's different. Like, I don't really have a fear of my drag ending. I have a fear of, like, maybe, like, I've always had a fear of something happening to my body and not being able to, like, do drag anymore, and, like, that's a fear. But the ending of my drag, I don't really fear, because I feel like I feel like death will come before.
I would say if I die, put me in drag before you call 911.
I joke about it all the time, but definitely not in the near future. I just celebrated, when we were filming this yesterday, my 6th drag anniversary, and I joked about 6 more days left. But no, I definitely not a fear in my head, because I don't see that in the near future for me.
Right.
But unfortunately, although I don't see my drag ending in the near future, if you haven't put 2 and 2 together, the podcast, the Preferred Podcast, was aligned with Drag Race Season 16, because that was the main portion of the podcast. However, Drag Race Season 16 is now over.
Yeah.
Speaking of the end, Drag Race Season 16 is now over.
Yeah.
And of course, we're going to get more into that with our Rate These Queens, because that is our segment that kind of started it all for the podcast. But yeah, it's the end of the season of RuPaul's Drag Race Season 16. So thus, it is the end of the season of the Preferred Podcast.
Yeah.
And with that comes an end in question mark, because it is still in the air of if it's an official end for permanently, or if it's just a pause of season. Because I knew when starting the podcast that I wanted it to be set of seasons, to where it's not a constant thing and I get a breather from it. Because unfortunately with YouTube, I don't get that. It's a constant thing. I constantly had to be editing, filming, making sure that the schedule is continuously going. So, yeah, I don't know. It's still in the air. I'm not going to lie. Between you, I, and now everyone listening, it on my end, I am completely fine with letting it go. This is something that I've mentioned several times. However, it's just, I think it's also in the moment. I literally, before we started filming, I was talking to you about how, like, this week alone, I've been in drag so many times, whether it's filming, getting ready for a show, work, so on and so forth. It's exhausting. Even not performing, like, it's still exhausting, mentally draining. Editing is mentally draining. And of course, spoiler alert, if you did not know, we are not in drag for the Preferred Podcast. That is not happening.
No, ma'am. If you can't see us, we ain't doing it.
Literally. However, the issue that comes with the Preferred Podcast is, and another thing I was just mentioning, it's actually one of the easiest things to edit, because I can multitask. I can sit there and put it on while folding laundry. You know what I mean?
I would say you had it on earlier while you were playing the game.
Yeah. So it's just, the only issue that comes with it is they're always long. So it always takes time to edit. And also it's boring. Like, editing, I hate starting editing, because it's just a barrier you got to jump over. But once I get into it and I start getting, like, the funnies from editing, it goes by super fast because I enjoy it. But with the podcast, it's just us talking. And another part that sucks about it is that, and you know this very well, because it's very unfortunate, but I had to, like, mute everything else. Like, it has to be complete silence and just the podcast, so that I can really zone into it. And that's what really sucks about it. So there's a lot of things that make the podcast hard to enjoy doing. Right. And I mean, just to be transparent, the views aren't as good as we wanted them to be with the Preferred Podcast anyways. So on top of it, like, when you put in all this work and you don't really get out of those, like, with YouTube videos, it's different, because they're hit or miss depending on, if it's the preferred few, the guest, or the type of video that I'm doing. If it's not the preferred few, obviously those are going to vary in views, but the Preferred Podcast was very, 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 very differing in views. There would be some that would have 85 views, that would have, high up their views, and then there would be some that had 13. And it's like, it's just a lot of work to put in just to not know.
Mm.
When I can just hyper focus on the YouTube video.
Exactly.
So yeah, we don't currently know if it is, on pause. Those who know, which, we of course will be talking about Drag Race as a whole here in a second. However, if you know, you know, All Stars 9 was announced to start streaming on Paramount Plus May 17th. So of course that is another season coming out. However, I personally wanted to hyper focus on the regular season of Drag Race just because I feel like it's OG. Mm-hmm. And as you mentioned earlier, we have our official segment of Our Preferred Choice coming out rapidly. We have a few of those filmed and a few more planning in the filming process. However, that's Drag Alone. Mm-hmm. So once we kind of had that and it kind of replaced the whole purpose of the podcast and all those things I just mentioned, it just kind of balances out to, hey, let's take a breather on it. Mm-hmm. Pause. If anything, it's a year that we can take a breather on it because obviously it'll be a year until the next season comes out. But yeah, so the end of eras, the end of the world, and the end of the Preferred Podcast for now.
But we're not leaving y'all high and dry because it'll be on the YouTube.
Yeah, and also speaking of that, I'm glad you mentioned that. It's actually been in the talks with Brandon, who I've had on the Preferred Few, and who is the producer / director for Country Queens, which, by the way, to fill you in, that is begun filming. I don't know if I'm allowed to speak on that, but it has officially started filming, so that is in the process. That's kind of why I haven't spoken about it, because I really don't know if I'm allowed to speak NDAs. On it. Yeah, we genuinely all signed NDA contracts. So Brandon, he actually randomly called me the other day and was talking about putting the podcast or streaming the podcast on the Pop-Up Productions channels, which is something that I'm definitely interested in. It's really just timing that we had to work out. He wanted to do them immediately, and he also wanted me to continue doing them, and that's where I was like, hold up. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I was really looking forward to a break. Something, though, that I mentioned that I thought would be interesting is kind of like how Paramount Plus does with Drag Race. They'll wait till the season has kind of like settled down for a second and then they'll stream it. That's something that could be interesting. So you might see it on different platforms or different channels.
Which would give us time to get everything else ready beforehand.
Yeah, and also like, to catch up on Drag Race. Like in the middle of the summer, I would often forget about the most recent season. Like I don't even remember season 15, to be honest, most of it. So a little bit of a refresher through the Preferred Podcast never hurt anybody. Mm-hmm. So I don't know, definitely new things to look out for, to see if it's going to be shared around like cooties on a playground.
We're not leaving you all high and dry.
Definitely not.
You can still find us.
As mentioned, Amber and I will still be having our monthly segmented videos of our preferred choices, which are getting officially installed with a brand new set and brand new names, thumbnails, all that good stuff. Which we're going to be talking about that later in the newer news. But speaking of that, there is always new beginnings with things. As mentioned, everyone, I feel like, kind of associates ends with negative connotations and negative meanings, but that's not necessarily always true. Mm-hmm. And with the Preferred Podcast, there's definitely new beginnings. There's already things in the works. We already have a brand new segment that is replacing it until the time being. And I know what you're probably thinking. Well, what's the point of even stopping it if you're just replacing it with something else? But the thing that we have planned to replace it with is a lot less work, and
we get to have fun getting into drag for it.
Yeah, and it's also something that works with our schedule that we've already kind of always done, but also it's something that we have a set date to announce it, so that's why I'm being iffy. Right. But what I will say is we've taken things from the Preferred Podcast that we felt were important and used it for this new segment. Mm-hmm. And also the major thing that's a game changer for this new segment is, one, it's not every week. It will be the first and third Wednesday of every single month. And also, it will be very, very, very much shorter. We are looking at 10 to 20 minute run times for this new segment. So it will be incredibly much shorter, just to get the brief of the topic about and to be known, and what the point of the segment is. So definitely things will be coming to replace. However, it's just it's easier this way.
And we will be in drag for it.
Yeah.
So
as of now that we know of. Things might change. Things might change. So yeah, never always associate the end to bad things, because as mentioned, I even the putting together the announcement stuff for it, we were getting very, very excited for it because it's just cute. It's definitely a segment that's going to be helpful. I feel like, and that's the important thing, because I feel like. I mean, see, it's not even helpful. It's not even helpful in the name. The preferred podcast is very long. It's, and I mean, not even me as an editor, me as a viewer. It's very long, but podcasts are, are supposed to be long.
I would say I haven't listened to any of
them. And, also, it's just sometimes, with human beings as a whole, you have good days, you have bad days, and when you have bad days and you have to film something, it makes your day 10 times worse. And
some of those times we were pinning eyelids open with closed
literally, and a lot of it's because we had to schedule the filming for the podcast perfectly with watching the Drag Race episode, with having enough time to edit it, having enough time to upload it.
With our work schedule. And because of that alone, specifically the work schedule, 9 times out of the 10, it was after I had gotten off work, which already is putting a damper in the mood. And if it wasn't that, it was before having to go to work, which is early in the morning and not much better. So with this, it's the newer segment that is coming out is set aside days that we already use for drag, for filming other things, or for doing drag looks or TikToks. So therefore, it kind of already consecutively works, and it's days that we're always off. So it just works. Yeah.
We literally, if y'all haven't put together, we literally have days that we call drag days in our calendar that are used specifically to do drag for either looks or filming something, or
I was saying it's actually been consistently the same day for a couple months now.
Yeah. So I mean that's what's gonna help with the scheduling and also just the entire new segment as a whole.
The preferred podcast is not the only thing that got its grand finale this week.
We also got the grand finale of season 16 this week, which brings us to our final segment of
Rage These
Queens. It's time to crown a winner, baby, and oh my, did we get one.
So with opinions in mind, let's turn our final view to a review.
So starting off this finale with this intro with this pink limousine. Oh my god.
It was
living. So good. The RuPaul song starts, and something I don't know if you clocked, but I clocked immediately, was there were poster boards of each franchise in the background.
Yep.
I thought that was so cute.
Yep.
I thought that was such,
I was gagged, and I was not expecting it.
Yeah. Something I also was not expecting was Mother. She was looking good.
Everything.
She was looking so good.
And she performed the house down.
I was about to say, she came in and did a little 1-2 step for the kids, and I was gagged. Something that I was also interested very much so by was, it technically was live. There was a live audience, but it was still filmed a year ago. So I don't know. It was very interesting. They did do it on this really big new stage that RuPaul made such a big deal of the last episode. So it was a very interesting
it was definitely better than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of people, I mean, even us, when we heard it in the spoilers, we were like, what? We were like, no. But honestly, I'm not going to lie, it really didn't take away from the experience at all.
It was the same experience.
And I could only imagine how much easier it is, the filming process for it is. Because you don't have to, when they did the Drag Race, in the big audience, they had to constantly rotate the audience members, 1 for spoiler purposes, and 2 for filming purposes, because it went on for hours. And they don't really have to worry about that anymore. A lot of these people in the crowd were celebrities. I don't know if you clocked it, but Miranda Cosgrove.
Yeah.
She was in the crowd, and I was like, what? I was like, huh? very, very interesting. But regardless, it was a very cute finale, and we're gonna get into it. Yeah. So top three. We found out that they do have to do songs again. We saw this on season 15, season 14, and I believe season 13. We did not see it. But they had to create their own songs, quote unquote, create.
Yeah.
They're not singing these songs, which Peter, my boyfriend, was very confused by. He was like, wait, so they're not singing? And I was like, no. I was like, producers got like artists to come in and record this. And like, obviously the top three has choices in their music and like what it's supposed to be about, which is really cool.
So it's all their song. They're just not singing it.
I personally would like to write the verses.
I
don't know if that's a thing. And speaking of verses, you can go watch my power verse now out on all of my socials at The Only Preferred.
I'm weak.
I was literally waiting, not to sidetrack, but I was literally waiting the entire season to see if we were going to get a song. And the second that I didn't, we found out that we weren't getting a song. And this is true tea. You can ask Amber. She can be my witness for it. The second I found it out, I wrote my verse in like 10 minutes. Recorded it and immediately got on drag that night to film it, had it edited the night before and posted the next day. We also found out that from there, a top two will be picked and they will be picked to lip sync for the crown.
Yeah.
So interesting. The queens from the season 16 of RuPaul's Drag Race are welcome back to the stage to do one final hooray for the crowd and for the season 16.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're not going to go through all of these because honestly, I can't remember all of them. A lot of them were very forgettable. However, Mirage, so good.
The only thing I wish is in that gown she had a little bit more hip. But other than that, I was living for it. I loved it. And the hair, girl, the hair.
Yeah. Someone who did have hit was Megami. Oh my god. Megami was serving body.
I can say I did not like Megami's outfit. It looked too H&M or too Grandma's Curtain.
I don't want to see any together.
More H&M on my stage.
The hair was cute though. I loved Megami's hair. Dawn was really, really cute as well. It was so silly, so quirky. Of course, we should only expect that.
I love Dawn's.
And Q's was actually genuinely sickening. You know what? You know what really gagged me though? It reminds me of my red outfit.
I'm weak.
It literally is just like it. I think the only difference is hers has like sleeve after the puff. Mine is not. Mine are just puffs but it literally. And I sat there and paused it and showed Peter the picture of my red one, and he was like, "Yeah, that's very similar." Like the cape and everything. Think about that. Yeah, it's gaggy. Mine also, not to throw shade, but mine actually has stones on it and beads.
But yours is also a curtain. Well, multiple curtains.
Well, that's the train. Still sewn. Anyways, the top three make their way back to the stage, and we're gonna rate these looks.
Yeah.
So starting with Nymphia, no.
Okay, but
no.
Okay, but
no. Okay, she was wearing another banana.
She looks so good.
No, the banana.
But she looks so good.
The banana for me was a no. The banana for me was a no.
I give this banana an exception. This was everything
for me because the banana alone. It was a 2.
I give it an 8. I love it. I'm obsessed with it.
No, it's a 2 for
me. I love it.
Moving on to Plain Jane. Oh my god, the colors of this were incredible. So amazing. The hair was so stunning. I immediately, when I saw the red, also to tap in, we did not watch this together for the first time in all of the Preferred podcast. We did not watch it because we knew it was the finale. We were going to watch see spoilers because we never watched them the night of. I always have work that night. You always have your shows that night. So we never get to watch season 16 the night of. We always watch it Saturdays. And we knew with it being the finale, we were going to see a spoiler. So we decisionally decided that we were going to watch them separately and just mentally take notes on it. I, of course, took physical notes because I'm professional.
I have the videos pulled up on my phone currently.
But immediately when I saw Plain Jane in this red, I was like, Amber's going to fall in love with this because it screams Amber's
literally
aesthetic.
Looks like me walking around on stage right now. I'm obsessed. And then when
Peter threw shade at you because Peter said, I feel like this is what Amber wants to
Not like Plain Jane, no. That's just what I currently look like right now.
But can we talk about the little curtain open in the front, though?
Yeah.
Oh,
I thought it was everything.
Everything. And her body.
For me, it was an 8.
Okay, I'm going to give this a 10.
Wow.
I'm going to give it a 10.
I wouldn't give it that high.
I'm obsessed with it.
I mean, she's cute, but
I'm obsessed.
She ain't that high. Lastly, on the runaway, we have Saphira.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a huge fan.
Me
I
either.
actually genuinely did
I was
not
hoping
like
you were
it
going
at
to
all.
say that.
The main things that I liked about it was the hair. The hair was everything. And the titties. The titties were tittying. I hated the blue and gold, though.
I love how long the chain is. Mm-hmm. I don't like the straps over the titties. And the titties
I did.
being
I just
exposed
wish
that
they
much.
would. I just wish they were a little bit long, like thicker.
I wish it was clean.
Yeah.
It literally looks like she took a piece of ribbon and just...
I don't know, the colors, and you know me, I don't like very like armory stuff, so for me that kind of took it out of it, and the colors took it out of me. But the hair was stunning. So for me personally, it just really wasn't my type of tea. And coming from me talking about Saphira, that's kind of gagging. Mm-hmm. So for me, it was a 6.
So yeah, it really was not the titty for me. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna be basic like her breast straps and go with a 4. Wow. I was very disappointed.
Yeah, it was kind of like my least favorite look on Saphira ever.
Yeah.
Even over the makeover look challenge, it was, it was not very good.
I'm very, very upset about that.
We immediately get back into the top 3, and we're going to start their performances.
Yeah.
To see who's going to make it to the top 3. And we have Nymphia to the top 2. Sorry, not top 3. Nymphia is the first one up. Something that I found weird about these is they never said a song name for any of the songs.
Yeah.
That was super weird to me. I was like prepared to write down the song names and they didn't say one.
Right.
And I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of weird. Like usually they'll be like, Sachiko will be performing Goddess or something like that. Like Mistress performing Drag Delusion. But they didn't have that this year. It was very interesting. But Nymphia does her song. I hated the cover up.
I love the culture of it.
Yeah. Hated the cover up.
I appreciate the culture of it.
Love the fact that we didn't get yellow. Mm-hmm. That was very nice.
And I love the color palette she chose.
Yeah,
it was very nice. It was given very plastic tiara.
That's extremely what I got.
Plastique. I said plastic. Plastic tiara.
Overall, though, it was very okay. It was decent. It wasn't bad. It wasn't good. For me, it was a mid 7.
Oh, I was living for it. Her little flip around that dancer, that was everything. I was gagged. I'm giving her a 10. I 100% loved it.
You're giving out 10s, Lucy.
There.
Next up, we have Plain Jane. Rosé could never.
I'm so
She looked literally just like Rosé. I love this. I come through bodysuit. I love the song. I relate so much with the song. She could dance.
She can.
I was gagged. She can dance. Overall, this is very, very she served. I was worried coming in because I thought she was going to do something stupid and it not fitting for finale performance. But she did it. She was so funny. The reveal was funny and cute and nice. Yeah, for me, Plain Jane was a 10. She was incredible.
I was living for her. And the gag of the bodysuits was hilarious. It was everything. And I loved the bodysuit she ended up in. It was definitely her song for sure. I'm going to give it a 10 as well.
Yeah, very, very stunning. Very good.
I'm very, very, very impressed.
Lastly, to perform her song, we have Saphira. Immediately this dress taking up the whole entire stage.
And it's moving.
It was so good. The hair, incredible.
And the tearaway.
And then the tearaway. And then she comes in doing the dance with these little biscuit heels that she tried to make less noticeable of a biscuit heel by putting some gravy on it.
I hate these boot covers. I have not been able to tell anybody that, but I hate these boot covers.
Yeah, they were bad. They were giving silky.
They're given very like Cyclops big, and I that's the only thing I hate about this.
Yeah, it was very interesting. She danced the house down boots.
Oh
though.
yeah, 100%.
When it came to the breakdown of the song, it was giving very Lizzo. I loved it. I thought the entire thing was credible.
That clean split.
Yes, yes, so good. I wrote down 20, but I know that's very unfair, so I'm gonna give her a 10.
Man, I can't give her a 9.5 because of the boot covers.
Just give her a 10.
I'm gonna give her a 10.
It was very,
but it's
very
a true 9.5 because of the boot covers. Wait, did we just give all 3 of them a 10?
No.
Oh.
You did.
Oh. Who didn't you give a 10 to?
Nymphia.
Wow.
Before we find out who the top 2 are, we have a little Elvira moment where we find some history of Elvira.
I was obsessed with this.
I'm not gonna lie, I've known a lot about Elvira. I've seen her TV show. I've watched Mistress of the Dark so many times.
Mm-hmm.
However, they were telling me some things I never knew. I was genuinely so
deep into her life outside of Elvira.
I never knew about the burns that she covered up for the longest time. I also never knew that she dated Elvis.
Mm-hmm.
That was so gaggy to me. And she comes out and she looks so incredibly good.
She looks so young.
I was about to say, for her age, she
for someone who's dated Elvis.
She looks incredible. So incredibly good. So we reunite to find out who our top 2 is.
Yeah.
And who's getting the chop.
Yeah.
And we find out that Sapphira and Nymphia are the top 2, meaning that Plain Jane is getting the chop. I'm so sad.
I'm so sad.
I'm sorry. It should have been Plain over Nymphia.
Okay, but not gonna lie, you and I really put Plain in number 5 placement at the beginning of this.
Okay, but she should have been over Nymphia. Looking at the scores.
Yours are biased.
Looking at the scores.
But yours are biased.
Wait a minute. Because looking at the scores, when we go to the finale runway, Plain has the highest at 18.
Girl, they don't care about your scores.
No, Plain has the highest at 18. Nymphia and Sapphira both have 10. But when it comes to the talent, the song portion, Plain and Sapphira both have 20.
Okay, and
Nymphia has 17.
And?
Well, Plain Jane should have been top 2.
Mm-hmm.
Before we see the top 2 lip sync, we find out that Mother Sasha Colby is back in the house.
Amen.
Looking stunning as ever. She gets to perform one last song before giving up her crown.
Love that. She's able to perform one more time.
What I didn't love was her performance.
No, I didn't.
You could tell she was very tired, girl. She said, "Girl, I'm tired."
But she's been on tired.
She said, literally on tour. Well, actually, kind of gaggy though is this was before her tour.
Oh, that's right.
Because I don't know if you clocked it. She mentioned her ponytails coming out.
They've been
out for like a whole year now.
Mm-hmm.
So. Yeah, it very much did click that it was not live whenever.
Because when she said that, I was like, wait.
Yeah.
Hold on, come on.
She's tired, girl. She's ready to write this check so she can get on with her life. But the gown when she comes back for the crowning is so incredibly good. It looks incredible. We get to see Power perform one more time by the season 16 queens.
I love
For a second there, I really thought that we were going to get their verses. And I was like, ooh.
But not everybody was in it.
Yeah. Well, I thought they were going to make their own verses.
I thought they were going to be doing it too, not going to lie. I was excited. But I love what they ended up doing.
Before we get into the top 2 once more, we're going to have Malaysia come back. And she's going to crown Miss Congeniality. Yeah. Malaysia looked so incredibly good.
I love this gown.
This little owl moment, I believe it was an owl. It looks so incredibly good. I hate feathers, but the second I saw it, I was like,
it's given very, when Cornbread got crowned Miss Congeniality dressed as Beauty and the Beast.
And speaking of Miss Congeniality, we found out that for the first time in forever, Miss Congeniality is a tie. And I'm a little confused because Tsunami Moose is the first winner. Okay, good for her. But Sapphira?
Well, of course they were going to give her the crown. They had to give her something, girl.
Immediately when I heard this, I was like, yeah, she's not winning.
Nope.
I was so sad. Top 2 come back to lip sync for the crown.
Yep.
Immediately I questioned why Boba.
I mean, I loved the concept.
No.
We have not, we've texted about this, but we have not talked about this finale song yet. And we have 2 completely different views.
Padam is the finale song by the incredible Kylie Minogue. The second I heard this song, I was like, oh my god. So let's get into it. Because I have some theories. I have some controversies. Nymphia sucked.
No, she didn't. Sapphira
sucked. The tea is, Sapphira did start off very slowly, of course, like she always does. However, Nymphia's reveals were trash. They did not make sense. Why are you a boba? The balloons, we've seen that done with butterflies. It did not work out, so please stop. And I'm sorry.
Hers worked out, though.
I'm sorry. But Nymphia's stunts were very sloppy. There were a lot of times where she was going to do a split and she was slipping around on the stage. And then there were also times where she was getting in Sapphira's way, like on purpose. Sloppy.
She was dancing circles around Saphira.
No.
It's not my fault or her fault.
The only
Saphira
thing I will
move.
No, the only thing I will give Saphira is that she was trying to start it off slow,
like she always does.
But the point being is, she always starts off slow. We know that. That's her lip sync style. But what got her is she saw how stupid and crazy Nymphia was being and making no sense and doing stunts. She did like 7 splits. Girl, why? But the issue is Saphira got in her head and got nervous and then started going. She went from like a 3 to a 17. And it's like, girl, breathe. Like, she literally, and you could tell because she turned and then immediately started kicking her leg in the air.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, girl. So I will give her that. She messed up there, but no, Nymphia was sloppy. Nymphia was very sloppy.
Nymphia danced circles around her. Saphira was
Nymphia
boring.
slipped circles around her. Like
she landed every single stunt. She landed every stunt. And her kick, her flip up against the wall down into the split. Ugh, everything. Everything.
Anyways, if you haven't found out, the winner of season 16 is unfortunately Nymphia.
The queen of the win.
I literally wrote down why.
Because she was amazing. That's why.
I'm so confused because you hated her the entire season.
She danced circles around Saphira. I genuinely thought Saphira was going to win this. And as soon as I knew she wasn't going to win when she won Miss Congeniality. But she danced circles around Saphira. Saphira could have done so much better, and she didn't. But Saphira's got an All-Stars coming, so.
But when you put it side by side, Saphira's song was a lot better than Nymphia's.
I don't know. I really loved Nymphia's. I really loved Nymphia's.
I don't know what's wrong with you.
I was very impressed with Nymphia. And I thought I was going to hate her. I seriously thought Saphira and Plain were going to be the top 2. But Nymphia really impressed me.
I didn't really think Plain was going to be top 2 specifically because she wasn't. I kind of thought they thought it would be pointless. You know what I mean? They knew she was going to be the villain. They knew she was not going to be liked by the audience. So what's the point of making her a part of the top 2?
Well, either way, Nymphia surprised me. This finale.
I'm honestly very disappointed.
I loved it. I think this is the first time we've ever actually completely disagreed on something. Everything else has just been small things here and there.
No.
I genuinely thought Nymphia really slayed that.
Mm-mm. It was, no. I'm still thinking about it. It's making me upset.
I love it. I was living for it. I've watched it since I watched it 12 times.
You know, I'm a statistics girl too.
Mm-hmm.
Saphira had better statistics.
Nymphia hadn't been in the bottom. And if we want to talk about statistics, she also won the popular vote, which is Drag Race viewers. And Saphira was bottom of all 3 because Plain was second in that ranking. And Saphira had the least popular vote.
We didn't get a golden boot. It's kind of sad.
I seen someone started a conversation about it on Reddit, but I hadn't read into it yet.
Yeah, they said that Tsunami and... Because I saw that same one, but it was Tsunami and someone else. Oh, Tsunami and Morphine, and Morphine's was for the one that she used Q's wig. Mm-hmm. The one that she said it was rhinestones, and they definitely were not rhinestones, they were beads. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was that one. Which I kind of thought was interesting, because I didn't think that was that bad. Out of ones, we had Amanda's. Why was Amanda's overlooked?
Right.
Hello? With Drag Race at an end, so is our first season of the podcast.
But stay tuned because we have brand new things coming.
So let's find out what's to come with...
New.
Although the pod is at a close, the news is here to stay, but more on that to come. But starting with the newer news, we have the most recent video up, Rate This Queen, where Amber and I actually combined forces to go through all of my looks, celebrating my 6th drag anniversary. So we went through 6 years of drag, and we went through and rated all of the looks.
Yeah, even though we should have saved it for Halloween. Girl, them looks were scary.
Wow, we can just pick up any of your most recent looks and they'll be even worse. Make sure to go check out that video. It's a pretty quirky video. I honestly still have yet to watch it. but I know you have watched it, so I guess it got somewhat of an approval. But with that, the next video on the channel is actually the preferred trivia show. I know we kind of talked about it in the last podcast episode, but it's a very quirky episode, and I can't wait for you all to see it. I actually am filming the video tomorrow for the winner of that, and just to touch bases on that, because it's kind of an interesting topic. We now, at the time of this filming, have had 3 winners. 2 of those been announced publicly, are on the YouTube channel. And both of those winners have not done their winning video on the channel. And those are for both different reasons. However, they have both been talked about and discussed. However, it's funny because the one for the trivia show that's coming out this Sunday is actually their winning video is being filmed tomorrow. So that one will be coming out at the end of May. Their winning video, I believe, will be coming at the end of May. So yeah, stay tuned for the preferred trivia show episode 3. With that though, comes a official schedule outline for the brand new YouTube. And although I'm not really going to get into depth a lot with this because more info on that to come. However, I would like to officially state and announce that the preferred few will officially be every first Sunday of the month to start off the YouTube month. Yeah. So you can catch the preferred few every first Sunday in the month. Yeah. Officially.
The first one being the first Sunday of May. Right?
Yeah. The next one actually just wrapped filming yesterday. Mm-hmm. No, today.
Yeah, today.
Lordy. It's been a long day. Yeah, I literally just wrapped filming for the May episode for today. And it's immediately about to hit the editing process this week to be put out there. Yeah, exciting new things. And then the June episode of the preferred few is actually being filmed next week. Mm-hmm. So yeah, and then the next will be July and so on and so forth. And there's more in-depth coming with that schedule. However, every single week of the month will have a preferred we'll have a specific segment video type or series, I guess you would say, of its kind, and it will be sticking like that. Of course, like the preferred views will have different guests for each month, and the preferred trivia shows, not to spoil, but that's another one that's in the schedule. They will have different guests each month. So it's not the same stuff over and over, but just to maintain like a scheduling basis, they will be posted. The first week is the preferred few, the second week will be blah, 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 so on and so forth. So stay tuned for that, because that's coming out, that lineup is coming out very, very soon. And if you actually have been on my website at The Only Preferred, it's kind of already there if you really pay attention. I have, since I've had the website up, I've been putting a schedule of what upcoming videos are happening. And if you kind of just look at the upcoming videos, the schedule has been in practice, like with tweaks and measurements of like taking in views, like does this time of the month help better with the views and so on and so forth. So it's been in place for a few months now. It's just officially being set here in the next few weeks. Yeah. So yeah, stay tuned for that.
Progression. We love progression.
But speaking of progression, we have brand new things coming at DDC with my shows as well. Speaking of that, Dragged the Competition has a new co-host, and we're kind of revamping it. You know, it's been a few months. The preferred show kind of always gets revamped every month whenever it has a new theme, but Drag the Competition kind of stayed at a still because we were just being consecutive with it. But with a new co-host, since my old co-host Amber Xerxes is taking a little vacation from drag, it's time to announce a new co-host.
I feel like we should take note of her little vacation.
Yeah, take note of it. But yeah, you can find this announcement tomorrow.
Same.
So when this is coming out Wednesday, you can find who the brand new co-host will be on Thursday.
Tomorrow.
And I know you have already seen kind of a glimpse of the new theme for Drag, and it's very cute. If you check my website, I almost said YouTube, wrong. If you check my website, there's kind of already a spoiler for it, but there is a set date for the official announcement of it. But the Preferred Few actually has its own new logo now, and so that's something that's kind of incorporated with Drag the Competition, because the winner of Drag the Competition gets to be on the Preferred Few as well as as well as the Preferred Show the next month.
Yeah.
So it's definitely something that goes together. And yeah, I can't wait for these exciting new things to come. The Preferred Show is getting bigger and bigger, and so is Dragged, and I'm glad to see it.
I'm gonna have to come perform so I can get another Preferred Few.
LOL. But speaking of the Preferred Show, with Dragged, the new Drag the Competition coming out, with the announcement of it coming out tomorrow, we have the Preferred Show being announced Friday, the teaser at least, with the name of the show being announced Friday, and then you get to meet the brand new cast Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it will be 2 weeks away.
Fine.
Yeah, May 11th is when it will be happening. Drag the Competition will be May 10th. And this is all at Dothan Dance Club.
Yeah.
2563 Ross Clark Circle in Dothan, Alabama.
Even though I can't be there, I'm excited for this theme.
Yeah, this theme is
I'm super excited for it.
I'm not going to lie, it has changed. I'm going to spoil it just because it's the finale. I'm feeling a little bit special, and also it doesn't matter anymore because it's not happening. But the original theme for the May show was probably one of my favorite themes ever. It was honestly one that I was super, super, uber, duper, trooper excited for. And it was The Best Little Whorehouse in Dothan. So for anyone who knows me, one of my favorite movies ever is The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas with Dolly Parton, of course, and Burt Reynolds. It's just an incredible movie. I love it. I love the soundtrack of it. I love Dolly Parton. My biggest drag inspiration. I don't really have a drag inspiration, but when I think of what I want to look at the top of my drag, I think of Dolly Parton in the black, you know this, the black outfit with the like fireworky looking stones on it and the huge fan feather. That's like where I want to be when I'm like 50 years old performing for $20 bills. You know what I mean? At the midnight show. No, I'm sorry, at the 3:00 p.m. show. I say Alyssa Edwards. So that's where I picture myself.
In a Drag Race nursing home.
Yeah. Point being of that though is I always wanted to do a show inspired by that. So I created The Best Little Whorehouse in Dothan, and I thought it fit perfectly because, you know, summer. That's always when The Best Little Whorehouse the Chicken Farm Ranch was at its most popular times, its peak times. However, those who are not in tune with the news, and I don't blame you because I'm not very news techie myself, Alabama is passing some drag bans.
It's Northern Alabama.
Oh yeah. Well, that's the main thing is with these drag bans going on, I didn't want any messages to be flipped and rewritten, because you know when you put whores and when you put drag together and you give it to a city full of rednecks and Republicans, it's not going to mix very well. So I was the bigger woman and I took the step down and I was like, you know what, it's okay. I'm sure there's plenty of time it can happen in the future. So yeah, I then picked a new theme, and it's a pretty nice theme. But I will say the theme is kind of like the same. It's definitely not the same theme.
It just has a spicier twist on it.
The underlining theme is the same. Yeah, and when you see who the special guest who has been on the Preferred Few, I'll leave that there, is, and you connect the theme, it will make perfect sense. It will make...
I said spicy for a reason.
Yeah, it will make very much so perfect sense.
And I'm so sad I can't be there.
Yeah, very sad times. But yeah, stay tuned for that. That will be coming, the announcement of that, like I said, the name and theme will be coming Friday with the cast being announced Saturday. Yeah. So stay tuned for that. 2 p.m. on both days. But in most recent events and most recent shows, I am actually traveling to Atlanta this upcoming weekend, Sunday, to do a little competition in Atlanta at my sister's room called Mug Check. I'm super excited for this. I had the opportunity of performing at Mug Check last April, actually, and it was a pretty exciting event. I came so close to the crown, and I if anyone knows me, they know I'm very competitive, and that's kind of where my issue comes in. Is I win. I was the queen vote, but you know, still not the winner, so it doesn't matter. But
this is what dreams are
I immediately
made
put
of.
in my head that, okay, well, I'm going to go back, obviously, and I'm going to try to win again, because I didn't win, so I'm going to do it again. So yeah.
It's the revenge.
If you were in the Atlanta area and listen to the podcast or to my YouTube videos, not listen, watch, I guess, technically, make sure to come out and support me. My Sister's Room, it's a competition where audience participation is a huge part in who wins. So make sure to come out and support.
Yeah, you may see me pop out.
Yeah, April 28th at My Sister's Room in Atlanta.
Slang.
And with that, we only have one more thing to talk about, which is the brand new segment coming out that's replacing the Preferred Podcast.
Slang.
Of course, we're not going to announce it because that's what we're here to do now, is to tell you when it's being announced. I've already spilled too much by telling you it will be happening the first and third Wednesday of every month. And as mentioned, it's going to be short videos, 10 to 20 minutes. And all I'm going to say is it's definitely a newer segment. Mm-hmm. A newer segment coming soon.
And if you listen to our podcast, you'll catch the hint.
Yeah. So yeah, stay tuned. May 1st is when that will be announced. Technically, that would be the first episode. However, we're not doing an episode that day. We're just announcing what it will be. There will be a short video kind of explaining what will be happening, but that will really be it. It won't be a full episode because the first brand new episode comes out May 15th.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll have the announcement on May 1st and you'll get to know what it's about. You'll have a week to settle on it, to think about it. And then May 15th will be the very first episode of the brand newer segment.
Yeah.
Coming soon.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Slay.
With those exciting new things to come, it's time for your final questions. Question.
So, Massager, your question reads, in my brain.
In your brain.
Do you get jealous easy?
Yes and no, but a lot of it's in the sense of a lot of it's mental force of jealousy. You know what I mean? It's never I wish I could have that. It's, oh, what can I do to get that? Mm-hmm. And not steal that, of course, but in the sense of how could I do it my own way? Mm. If it's in this,
it's almost I'm jealous that you're there before me.
Exactly. Oh, well, if it's in the, okay, pause, because several different situations of jealousy. And to be quite frank with you and to be quite honest with you, something that I honestly have barely said to anyone, jealousy is a trait that I actually genuinely don't like. And not even really with other people, but with myself. I think jealousy is not good for me because I do not have a very strong mental health. So it can be very deteriorating to my mental health. And so I try to stay away from it. But different forms of jealousy. So main form that I struggle with is relationship jealousy, in the sense of having a partner and, that type of stuff. But a lot of that is just, I don't know, territorial stuff, I guess you would say. In the sense of opportunities, that's probably where I get jealous the most, is opportunity jealousy. And a lot of it is because a lot of my drag specifically, and I mean, that's honestly mainly the opportunities that are important to me. But a lot of the times I have felt misunderstood or not seen for my drag, especially for the time that I've been doing it. And of course I don't have these extravagant gowns and garments, but one, that's not me. And two, no matter if I don't have that, my drag is still put together. It's still polished. It's still creative and something that I put my own touch on.
That old school drag just kind of went out the door.
It has. And I still touch key with old school drag. You will never see me in flat hair. That is something that I get from old school drag, is always having big, huge hair. And even if it's not a triple stack wig, it's big on me because I know what I'm doing for my body. And that's the main thing that I carry with myself, is I know who I am with my drag. And I feel like a lot of people get jealous of that with me. They a lot of people don't have that characteristic and they get jealous of that. But that's something I can never relate to. Because characteristics, I will never get jealous of very characteristics, because I know that I just was not meant to be that way. I know that, I don't know, jealousy when it comes to personal items or stuff like that is very rare for me because I know if it's something I really wanted, I could have. Money has never been a jealousy issue for me because I don't really care about money. If I didn't have to have money, I would not care to have money. And that's another thing.
That's the root of all evil.
People think I'm a money hog too, and I'm like, no, I'm really
like,
not.
girl, what money?
Well, that too.
First, you gotta have money.
But like in the sense of like, I don't know. I've never wanted people to think that like, because we've had some issues in the Birmingham area where people steal money from shows.
Yeah,
and that's something I'm never going to portray or never let happen in my shows.
Disgusting.
And often, I've said it so many times, but often I will give my money just to make sure everyone's paid. So I'm definitely not a money hog. The only if I make money from drag, it immediately goes back into drag. And a lot of that, I feel like what I just said, the money going back into drag, is why I don't hold that jealousy trait because I know that I'm going to continue to work until I can get what they have. It may not be in the sense of what they have exactly, but it's going to be what I want that reminded me of that. So I am, I would say, I guess, a jealous person. I do have that characteristic, but it's a characteristic I cannot stand about myself. Anytime it comes up, I immediately push it down. And the biggest time it comes up is with drag opportunities because I will see people casted in shows and I'm like, oh, why did they get that opportunity and I did not? And I just got to let it go. If it wasn't meant for me, if that person who is in charge of booking that shows has an issue with me that they have not stated, that's something I can't help if they're not going to tell me.
So you're more of like the natural jealousy that everybody has.
Yeah, and it's always like I feel, and this is why I had to push it down because another characteristic that I cannot stand, and this is I will say this is not for me because I hope that I don't have this. In my head, I do not have this, but it's like big-headedness or like cockiness. I can't stand that.
Catty queens.
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of people who are jealous hold that because they constantly, you know what I mean? I'm not a very cocky person, so that's like another trait that I kind of like, whatever. Those two I feel like coincide very, very well. And I think that's why I try to stay very clear from them because it's kind of like you said the money was root of all evil, and it's really like greed goes with money the same way in my head that jealousy goes with cockiness. It's like bullies. They always say bullies bully because they were bullied or because
they have insecurities about themselves.
It's the same thing with jealousy. I mean, obviously it's an insecurity because
right,
obviously. But yeah, I don't, when it comes to actual like everyday jealousy, I wouldn't say I'm a very like, I would hope that I don't carry the characteristic being jealous. But I genuinely hope I don't carry the characteristic of being cocky. And I say that because I feel like a lot of people think of that of me because that's another thing with jealousy. I know we keep getting distracted with the same but with jealousy is I'm a hard worker. Like everything in drag that I have, I've always worked for. And so I feel like that's why I don't get jealous because as I've already said, I know I'm going to get it if I want it. And that's not like out of having someone pay for it. No, that's me working my butt off to get that said thing or me staying up all night to create that said thing, so on and so forth. A cocky person wouldn't really put in the work. They would, you know what I mean? Cocky people are often like bratty and like they have everything given to them. That's where they get like the platform that they think they can be cocky. Either that or it's delusion. They, are hiding a different life. But like that's where people get me wrong is they think that like I get all my stuff made for me and that I'm just, out here just being whatever. And it's like, no, I might be quiet or like have a resting face, but that's just because I have a resting face and I'm not going to talk to you unless you talk to me. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. What was the point? Jealousy. Anyways, your question.
Well, to tack on top of the whole people thinking you're cocky, I feel like that's just how a lot of people look at drag queens especially when they first meet them, because I had people that I'm real good friends now that saw me for the first time at Pride Fest 2 years ago and wouldn't come up and talk to me because they thought I was cocky until they actually talk to me. And I'm like, no, you just got to come up to me and talk to me.
Your question is, what do you have in your pockets at the moment?
Nothing, actually.
I thought it was going to be your vape, and I was
no, I'm sitting on the couch, girl.
No, I tried. Darn.
My vape's typically, the only time my vape goes in my pocket is if I get up off the couch. Well, I can't always say that, but if I like go somewhere, it always goes in my pocket, in my phone. Typically, it's my vape in my phone.
Well, with that, it's time to finally end the podcast.
But just because the podcast is over doesn't mean we aren't still here, girl.
So follow us on all of our socials to keep up.
Follow me on all my socials at Amber_V_Valentine for new looks, new videos, and new things to come.
And follow me at The Only Preferred for looks on the socials and brand new videos every single Sunday on the tube.
Subscribe to the channel to see our preferred choice, the new monthly Drag Race content on the preferred channel.
Throughout the entire season, it has been lovely talking to you, gal.
And somehow, some way, I guess we'll talk to y'all later.
As always, stay preferred
and full of love.